What's up? This is Mike at Patchwerk Studios. Today we have some repairs to do on the Duality console because somebody spilled a drink on it. And as I'm sure everybody is quite aware, liquid and electronics do not mix at all. And this is why we always want everybody to stay behind the producer's desk. If you have liquids in your hand or food in your hand, don't come over to the console because somebody walked over here, dropped what they had, and it ran down inside the faders, inside the board, and now $1,200 later they have to pay to have it repaired. We're going to put all the parts in today to get it back working. And obviously when it happened, we had to shut the whole session down because the board can't stay on. When you dump something inside of it, it'll short everything else out and cause even more damages. So today we're going to disassemble what we have to put in a bus fader card at the first one and replace faders 5 and 6. As you can, they're barely moving because they're so gritty from all the stuff inside the faders. We have to replace those 2 fader slides. So let's get to it. And what ends up happening is because, liquor and sugars and all that kind of stuff, they eat away electronics. And sometimes it's not immediate, but eventually it will eat through all of the circuitry and all the circuit boards, and it's all over right here. You can see it on there, and it's also run down here. You can see it inside, so once I get this out, I'm going to have to clean all this out. I already took this apart to find out what was wrong earlier, and I cleaned all of the liquids off of that was all over these faders. I cleaned all that off already. So we're going to have to take this whole section out now. So first we got to disconnect. These are all the power wires to get to it and the ribbon cables. So these parts got to come from SSL. This isn't something you go down to your local mall and buy. So I had to get these. Luckily they had some of these in the States. A lot of times they got to come from England, because this is where the board is made. But luckily they had these parts in LA and I had them shipped over so we wouldn't be down too long. And these little bags, they put them in, these are anti-static bags, keeps them from getting an electrical charge and shorting out, So very advantageous to have these in there. Alright, so this is the new board. As you can see, it doesn't have all that stuff on it. Brand new. I'm gonna compare it to this old one, make sure they got us the right one.
Put it in the camera.
Oh, yeah, here we go. So yeah, just looking at it, this is the old board. This is the new board. Everything looks the same. Looks like they sent us the right one. Check the part number. Yep, everything's good to go. The guys at SSL are great. They really easy to work with. Make sure we always get the right thing when we need it. Line this thing up, start putting it back together. This is the one thing I will have to say, and if SSL you're watching, this is something you should fix. These things should each have a small screw so that they don't come loose. This whole panel doesn't hold them down, I don't feel like, completely as snug as it should. So that's a bad one. And that's a bad one. So what I feel like they should do is the way they do it on the larger, earlier consoles, with each of these things should have I feel like a screw point. So anyway, that's my personal opinion. Since I deal with these all the time, a lot of times I gotta take these sections off and reseat faders and stuff because they come loose, because they're not attached down like that. But that's my personal opinion. Alright, so they've all snapped in. Now, what you can do is you can buy these things as a complete unit. The entire fader, all of this contraption, all of this you would have to replace, but you can also buy just this element, which saves money, which is what I decided to do. So I bought the element. I'm going to replace this, just the slider element, and keep all the electronics, because what happened was the liquid went down inside of here and it messed this up, the actual element itself, not the electronics. So because I've looked through these already and the electronics didn't get anything spilled on them, it went into here, and that's what ran down into here. It went through this and then down onto the bus card. So now we're going to have to take these two apart and put the new elements in them. All right. So that's the element that we're going to replace. Now, got to remove this. But that still leaves us with this piece, which is actually soldered on. So now I got to unsolder these wires and then solder the new wires to the circuit board. So let's take a look at one of these first. See exactly what we got to do here. All right, so this is a new fader element, as you can see. Ooh, see, much smoother. Yes, doesn't sound like sand in there. All right, so what you can see here is it comes with just this end, so these wires aren't attached. So what's going to have to be done is I got to solder these wires on here and then reattach the whole piece. So yeah, if you want to grab a solder gun and some solder. So, pulling that shrink wrap back. Looks like I'll be able to reuse it, so I won't have to put a new one there. Then I just got to get these wires off and tack them onto here. First, I'm gonna put a little solder on this thing. Alright, so tinning that a little bit, then we're going to cut this one off. Take these off. There we go. Alright, so there's the bad one. Don't need that one anymore. You just gotta put them back on the same place as they were. There we got complete working fader now. Cool, just check my wiring, make sure everything's good. And we'll snap this one into place. All right, one down, one more to go. All right, another fader done. Okay, so a lot cheaper than do it that way than having to buy the whole fader, probably about half the price. We lucked out on that one. Put this one in. All right, look around, make sure there's no extra screws laying around. That's always a dead giveaway. You can do it, man. All right, I'll take this cover, put it back on. I'd already cleaned this yesterday when I took it apart, so it had liquid all down inside of here and all over this part. So. You can see all the faders move. That's why I'd like to make sure the thing is on, because they all slap back down to the bottom. Okay, so we got all that. Now we just got to put the armrest back on. All right, so basically I got to finish put the screws back on this and we'll be done. So some people ask, they're like, man, how do you know how to do all this stuff? Well, because people won't stop coming up here with drinks. So I have to do this a lot. This is like the 4th time I've had to replace faders, bus cards and things like that because the drinks they're not supposed to be up here. So my advice to everyone is watching this video, you come to the studio, it doesn't matter what studio, any studio, keep your drinks and your food behind the producer's desk. Don't bring them up near the consoles, the keyboards, the computers, because electronics and liquids of any kind do not mix at all. So hope you learned something from that. Like I say, you dump something on the console, it's very expensive. This repair would cost the person $1,200. I know the repair we did before was over $3 grand for the amount of liquid that went on it. So I just recommend to everybody, consoles are not where you drink your drinks. I hope you guys learned something from it, and you know, when your duality goes down, now you know what to do. See y'all later.